G'day my fellow media collectors, I'm Troy, and today we're going to delve into a story of a weapons designer for the military that, after he witnesses the destructive potential of his weapons in the wrong hands, quits his job making weapons and is driven by a sense of responsibility to prevent his weapons from being used for evil. So he creates a suit of powered armour to stop. Oh, holy shit, this is the same movie. Just that this one's done better. Sorry folks, but we're here to actually look at the not so decent one. Steel is a live-action superhero film that comes in at 97 minutes and was released into cinemas on the 15th of August 1997. It was released on DVD by Warner Brothers Archive Collection on the 7th of July 2010 with no Blu-ray or 4K HD release as of this video. The film was written and directed by Kenneth Johnson and was produced by Quincy Jones, David Salzman Entertainment. Steel achieved the record for having the biggest second weekend drop of any superhero film, being tied with the Marvels with a decline of 78% in the second week. The film bombed at the box office, earning just $1.7 million domestically with an estimated budget of $16 million. Ouch.
Failure, sir. Utter failure.
The film follows the story of John Henry Irons, a weapon designer for the military, who, after witnessing the devastating consequences of his inventions falling into the wrong hands, Irons dons a suit of powered armour to fight crime and protect his community as the vigilante known as Steel. Teaming up with his friends Susan Sparks and Uncle Joe, Steel confronts a ruthless street gang led by Nathaniel Burke, who are using his weapons to terrorize the city. Can he stop Nathaniel and rid the streets of these dangerous weapons?
Now let's get those evildoers!
Look, one of the script's notable shortcomings is its failure to really fully flesh out the characters, particularly our titular hero, John Henry Irons / Steel. Despite the compelling backstory of a former military weapons designer turned vigilante, Irons really comes across as very one-dimensional, just lacking the depth and complexity needed to truly engage with the audience. His motivations are clear, but fail to evoke really any sort of genuine empathy or interest in the character. So look, the writer Kenneth Johnson offers us a script that, look, it really struggles to lift off the ground, and it's just weighed down by its own ambitions and limitations. While at times it does show us moments of potential, they are often overshadowed by clunky dialogue, lackluster character development, and a plot that feels so, formulaic and very uninspired. The script is just riddled with cliches and predictable tropes, failing to offer any meaningful surprises or twists along the way, with key plot points that are literally telegraphed well in advance, robbing the story of any real suspense or tension, which leads the movie to also suffer from pacing issues, with the narrative just sort of meandering at times and just struggling to maintain any real momentum. Now, for the dialogue, it often feels stilted and unnatural at times, hindering the actor's ability to deliver like any sort of convincing performance. It's pretty ordinary. And look, despite all its flaws, it does try to convey the emphasis of some themes of redemption, responsibility, and the misuse of power throughout the movie. But still, the end result is a forgettable and ultimately disappointing superhero film. And look, for that, the best I can do for this is a 9 out of 30. The film was an original story and not a direct adaptation of any specific comic book storylines I could find. And look, it only really seems to take more of, shall we say, a surface level inspiration from the comic book source material, and it's nothing like a straight up adaptation. Like, for instance, in the comics, Steele is an engineer who creates a suit of powered armour to fight crime after Superman's apparent death at the hands of Doomsday. Where, as in the film, however, the character's backstory is altered, with John Henry Irons being a weapons designer for the military who turns against his employer when he discovers that they are selling his weapons to the street gangs. Also, his look, and his powers too. Look, they've changed from what they are like in the comic books. With, like, first off, his costume. Look at the costume. With him in the comics really trying to look like Superman, with like the big S and having a cape just like that. And when you look at the movie, they really step away from that, of the Superman references with the chest bit, and they ditch the cape as well, which, from what I read, was a choice by the film producer Joel Simon, stating that he was, and I quote, a knight in shining armour in a contemporary setting, and that meant the cape had to go. His words. And most notably is that in the comics, Steele can fly around, but in this movie he gets around by grappling hooks and a motorbike. But look, I'm pretty sure that change was more due to the special effects budget than anything else.
We have to stick to our budget, okay?
Now, if we look at the cast list here, for me, it's only really, I only really know a couple of actors on this list, but in the grand scheme of things, everyone was serviceable and really just does their job. Let's just say there are no Oscar-winning performances here, that's for sure. But look, how about we start off and look at our first person of interest, and of course it's going to be our star, Mr. Shaquille O'Neal, as a John Henry Irons, aka Steele. Now, you have to remember that this was like his fourth actual movie appearance, but his third starring role. So look, he's very green to when it comes to acting, and look, it really shows with the... Look, he had a commendable effort of enthusiasm and his charisma in the portrayal, but it just falls short of anything that he could really do, because you can see that he struggles with anything that is required in a sort of emotional depth or a nuanced delivery.
As an actor, not an actor.
As for his supporting cast of Richard Roundtree and Irma P. Hall, they provide moments of levity and humour, warmth and a bit of charm, despite their limited screen time. Annabeth Gish is Susan Sparks. She brings a sense of earnest to the role, effectively portraying Sparks as this loyal ally to Irons. However, the are they or aren't they romantic vibe throughout the film was sometimes just downright confusing and frustrating, to tell you the truth. Now, Judd Nelson's portrayal as the main antagonist, Nathaniel Burke, veers into a caricature at times of a classic mustache-twirling villain with his over-the-top delivery, really undermining any sense of menace this character was really meant to convey. So it was pretty full on. So overall, not too many hits. There was a lot more misses. So with that, I'm gonna go with 6 out of 20.
Some crazy ass fool running around aluminum foil. Sound like a tin man on steroids.
So if we look at the cover, it's pretty much just the movie poster. It's very basic. A lot of these Warner Archive ones are pretty basic. It's just the movie poster on the front. They don't really put too much effort into it. And if we look at the side, nothing stellar again. Like, it really is very basic. They just pump these out because they've got such a back catalogue of stuff. And if we look at the back, same again. Basic, basic, basic. It's just thrown together just so they can pump these out. And if we look at the disc, well, it's a color disc, and you know I like that. But overall, it's just the logo. That's it. Nothing special, but it is color. Yeah, so that's a bonus. Overall, these archive ones I've seen. I've got a few different archive ones. They are about as basic as you can get. They are literally thrown together in minutes. No real time put into it, just so they can pump it out so people can get it in their collection. And as a result, I'm going to score it as such and give it, that's right, a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, he definitely fits the description.
For what? To be the man they call Steel.
So there is one special feature on here, not that it's listed on the back, and that is a theatrical trailer for the movie. Yeah, well, that's not really a special feature, I suppose. But look, it is something. Barely. Look, no surprise there, being that, where, you know, there's no behind the scenes or retrospective featurettes out there, as most people probably more want to forget this movie than see anything else. So look, seeing that they did put one thing on here, or one extra thing than the movie, I'm pretty much going to score them in that light. And so with that, I'm only going to give it, yeah, you probably already guessed it, a 1 out of 10.
A man named John Henry's just gotta have a hammer. Of course, I designed it to do more than pound things.
Okay, as I bring up the Rotten Tomatoes scorecard, you can see the critics came in at 8%. Well, let's have a look at the audience. Oh, audience score is 19%. Oh, shit. So the critic score, holy shit, that is probably one of the lowest scores I've seen. It's pretty woeful. And let's face it, the reviews online were pretty savage from the critics. But you know what? The audience reviews were even worse. Like, it's an abomination. Worst film I've ever seen. It's a crime against cinema. Literally those type of reviews. But one thing is, this time around, is everyone's on the same page here. I couldn't seem to find one person going, hey, this is good. So look, it's definitely going to get a pretty shitty score. So look, it's very resounding score, that's for sure. And that is, yeah, 2 out of 10.
Where'd that son of a buck go?
The Batcave?
So I vaguely remember watching this years and years ago, not long after it came out. I think it might have been on VHS, actually. No, 97, that'd have been DVD. But I also promptly forgot what happened very soon after watching it, because it is a forgettable film. Now, when I watched it again for this review, it kind of felt like I was watching it again for the first time. And, well, look, it didn't get any better.
It's still pretty bad.
But maybe as I review more and more of, shall we say, bad films for this channel, this one, it's bad, but is not as bad as some, shall we say. It's very much in the realm of, say, it just felt like a made-for-TV movie, or almost like a extended TV episode. And that's just what a movie felt like. Even though this was supposed to be, meant to be this like big summer blockbuster movie, it just looked and felt cheap.
And it looks cheap as hell.
Now, for me, I have 2 major gripes with this movie. And don't worry, there are some other things that bug me as well. But these 2 are what really stuck it out for me. And one is, well, it's that bloody suit. That terrible rubber suit that Shaq can barely move around in. His fight scenes are atrocious, and he's trying to evade the police. Like, when he's evading the police, it is laughable, as it looks like he looks and moves like a tree trying to run away.
I've never seen anyone move so slow.
And second, well, come to think of it, that's the police as well. In this movie, every time Steele shows up to do his job or do his thing, The police are there in like seconds to stop him, and then they ignore the actual bad guys running away, and then they start chasing Steele. Like, I think a third of the movie is just Steele running away from the cops, and like maybe a minute of screen time of him being an actual crime fighter. Honestly, it baffles me. Anyway, this was a bad movie, but it was watchable, yes. Was it forgettable? Double yes. And with that, I'm going to give it, oh God, it's lucky it's getting this, a 7 out of 20.
Well, you know I've got to push the envelope.
Okay, if we look at collectability first, I'm going to put this as a 2. Like, it's not hugely collectible so much at the moment. It's very much for your diehard collectors like myself, or your Superman collectors. Unfortunately, it is connected to Superman, not greatly, but it is. So if you're a Superman collector or you're a diehard like myself, yeah, definitely try and get yourself a copy. Otherwise, I wouldn't say you desperately need it. Now, as far as availability goes, this is where it's interesting. This is actually more of a 4 out of 5, because this is one of those wanted collection ones that were released years ago, but then they stopped. So they limited run. I wouldn't say it's like super hard to find, but it is rare to find a copy out there. It does take a bit of searching. So yeah, that's why I'm going to give it a 4, because the availability on that is a little harder than most. So due to its availability, the average price you're looking at is somewhere between the $30 to $75 mark for a DVD. So it does pay to shop around and have a look. But of course, there is nothing for Blu-ray or 4K HD as of this video. Now, for the final score, we get a grand total of 30 out of 100. Not a great score at all, but seems I was a little more generous than most reviews out there. So look, if you're looking for some cheesy, campy, 90s mindless superhero made for TV type movie, then this stinker is for you.
That's enough! That's enough! My ass is on fire!
Thought I smelled some nuts roasting.
Hey, so if you like this video, you want to see some more of my reviews, why don't you click that one there? Maybe you want to see some of my collection updates. Got you covered too. Click that one there. And don't forget to do the most important thing. Throw me a like, and don't forget to hit that subscription button on the way out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.